Welcome to a new episode of Cheaters Always Cheat. Like, subscribe, and share to stay connected.
I'm a 35-year-old man, married to Ellie, who is 34. We've been together for 5 years, living a fairly typical life. We work hard during the week and enjoy unwinding on weekends. However, things have been different over the past 3 months. One Sunday, while we were relaxing, Ellie caught me off guard. She showed me pictures of her friends and asked me to rate them. I was taken aback initially, but she insisted it was just for fun, so I went along with it. I made it clear that my ratings didn't mean anything serious, and she reassured me it was all in good spirits. During the game, I ended up giving the highest rating to her friend Lily, who is 33. Lily was Ellie's gym partner before they became friends, and we've all spent time together socially. Then, out of nowhere, Ellie asked if I would sleep with Lily if given the chance. I was stunned and reminded her that this was just a game. I knew how easily such things could be misunderstood. Ellie insisted she wasn't jealous and even suggested that if I found Lily attractive, I should explore that attraction. Her suggestion left me speechless. I clarified that I didn't find Lily particularly attractive, she just happened to be more appealing than most of Ellie's other friends. It sounded superficial, but it was all part of the game. For the next few days, Ellie kept insisting that I should consider a casual encounter with Lily. She believed that if there was any attraction, it was better to address it openly rather than risk cheating. I repeatedly told her I had no desire to sleep with Lily and had never seen her that way, but Ellie seemed unconvinced. A few days later, we attended a house party at Lily and Joshua's place. It was just the 4 of us, my wife, Joshua, Lily, and me. After we grew bored of the games we were playing, we decided to watch a movie. I don't remember whose idea it was to watch 2+2, but that's what we ended up watching. For those who haven't seen it, the movie is about couples swapping partners to add excitement to their relationships. After the movie and a bit of drinking, we all exchanged glances, contemplating if we should try something similar. Thankfully, nothing happened, and we all laughed, breaking the tension that had built up. In the days following the party, Ellie continued to bring up the idea of me having a casual fling with Lily. She argued that it would be a healthier way to address any potential attraction than to suppress it and risk it turning into infidelity later on. Despite her persistence, I reassured her that I had no desire to act on any such attraction and that my commitment to her was unwavering. Ellie's insistence left me feeling confused and a bit unsettled. It seemed like she was pushing me towards something neither of us truly wanted. I began to wonder if there was something deeper behind her persistence, perhaps insecurities or unspoken desires she hadn't yet expressed. As time went on, the idea of a casual encounter with Lily became a recurring topic in our conversations. Each time, I reaffirmed my loyalty to Ellie and my lack of interest in pursuing anything with Lily. Yet, the more I denied it, the more Ellie seemed convinced there was something there. During one particularly intense discussion, Ellie confessed she was trying to test the strength of our marriage. She wanted to see if we could handle such a situation without breaking apart. Her revelation made me realize how deeply she was affected by the notion of infidelity, even hypothetically. In the end, we decided to seek counseling to address the underlying issues in our relationship. The counselor helped us navigate our feelings and understand each other's perspectives better. Through open and honest communication, we were able to rebuild the trust that had been shaken by Ellie's unexpected proposition. Reflecting on the past few months, I realized our marriage had grown stronger because of the challenges we faced. While the idea of a casual encounter with Lily had initially caused confusion and tension, it ultimately led us to address deeper issues and reinforce our commitment to each other. We learned that open dialogue and mutual understanding were key to maintaining a healthy and loving relationship. When Monday arrived, I nearly forgot about the incident, but my wife didn't let it go so easily. A few days into the week, during a casual dinner conversation, she brought up our experience from that night. She hinted that trying couple swapping might be exciting. I chuckled, thinking she was joking, but my laughter turned to shock when she said she was serious. I asked if she had someone specific in mind for this experiment, and she mentioned Joshua and Lily. I looked at her in disbelief and told her she couldn't be serious about this. I declined the idea, explaining that it would harm both our families. She nodded and admitted she wasn't entirely serious either, but the movie had sparked the idea, and she thought it might be worth considering. I acknowledged it and moved on. However, as time went on, she continued to suggest we spice up our marriage. It's understandable that after 7 years together, the excitement in a relationship can dwindle. But that's part of marriage, you trade thrill for deeper feelings like stability, love, and care. I straightforwardly asked her if she was open to the idea of a non-exclusive relationship. She flatly declined, stating she suggested it only to strengthen our connection and nothing more. I reassured her of my love and my desire to be only with her. Time passed, but Ellie remained firm in her stance. She constantly dropped subtle hints that I should have closeness with Lily. One evening, Ellie returned from the gym with excitement. She revealed she had talked to Lily about my supposed interest. To my surprise, Lily and Joshua were also considering exploring their own bedroom life. I was taken aback and asked why she had discussed this with Lily. Ellie explained that it was common for women to talk about such matters with their friends. Personally, I'm more old-fashioned. I wouldn't discuss such things with my male friends. While I might have mentioned it casually in the past, I had never gone into detail, especially regarding my wife. Ellie went on to tell Lily that I found her attractive, and to my amusement, Lily blushed. Ellie seemed quite pleased with herself. As days turned into weeks, Ellie's persistence grew. She brought up the idea of spicing up our marriage more frequently. Her suggestions varied from trying new activities together to the controversial idea of couple swapping. Despite her enthusiasm, I felt uneasy about it. I loved Ellie deeply and cherished the stability and trust we had built over the years. One night, while we were watching a movie, Ellie brought up the topic again. She mentioned how some of her friends had tried open relationships and found them fulfilling. I listened patiently, trying to understand her perspective. It was clear that Ellie was looking for ways to reignite the spark in our marriage, but I wasn't convinced this was the right path for us. I decided to address the issue head-on. I told Ellie that while I appreciated her honesty and willingness to explore new things, I was committed to our monogamous relationship. I explained that the idea of involving others in our intimate life made me uncomfortable. Ellie seemed to understand but was still somewhat disappointed. A few days later, Ellie invited Lily and Joshua over for dinner. I couldn't help but wonder if this was another attempt to push the couple swapping idea. The evening went smoothly, and there were no awkward moments. However, after dinner, Ellie and Lily had a private conversation in the kitchen. I could hear them giggling and talking in hushed tones. My curiosity got the better of me, and I asked Ellie what they had talked about. Ellie revealed she had told Lily about my hesitations and concerns. Surprisingly, Lily had shared that she and Joshua had similar discussions and were also hesitant. This revelation brought some relief to me. It seemed like we weren't the only ones grappling with these complicated feelings. In the weeks that followed, Ellie and I had more open and honest conversations about our desires and fears. We decided to focus on strengthening our bond without involving others. We started going on regular dates, trying new hobbies, and spending quality time together. This renewed effort brought us closer and reignited the passion in our marriage. Reflecting on the past few months, I realized that the challenges we faced had ultimately strengthened our relationship. Ellie's initial suggestion, though shocking, opened up a channel of communication we hadn't explored before. We learned the importance of being honest about our needs and fears and working together to find solutions that made us both happy. Our marriage emerged stronger, with a deeper understanding and appreciation for each other. The journey wasn't easy, but it was worth it. We grew not only as a couple but also as individuals. Through this experience, we discovered that true intimacy comes from trust, openness, and mutual respect. I dismissed the idea, mentioning that it's natural to blush when you learn someone finds you attractive. Ellie, however, suggested that perhaps Lily was also interested in getting closer to me. Given Lily's persistence, I sensed something was off, prompting me to check her phone. I went through her messages and social media accounts, but everything seemed normal except for some spam from an unknown sender. I couldn't help but feel guilty for doubting her. Ellie, known for her cheerful and candid personality, never holds back, which is one of the qualities I adore about her. However, I had been treating her poorly ever since she encouraged me to develop a closer relationship with Lily. This treatment stemmed from my suspicion and insecurity. After confirming that Lily's phone was clean, I felt terrible for my unkindness. I believed Ellie loved me so much that she was willing to let me be with someone else, making me feel incredibly fortunate. Over the next month, we regularly hung out with Joshua and Lily. These gatherings included drinks, dinners, and social events at our homes and other locations. Everything seemed routine on the surface, but something unusual began to happen. I found myself developing a strong attraction to Lily for several reasons. Whenever we were together, Ellie would playfully tease me, and sometimes Joshua would join in the teasing, while Lily would blush and maintain intense eye contact with me. Honestly, who wouldn't feel a bit fluttery in such a scenario? Despite the growing attraction, I made it crystal clear to everyone that I had no intention of getting involved with Lily. This was a line I was not willing to cross. I'm writing this because I'm in a challenging and complicated situation. Next week, we have a long weekend due to a Friday bank holiday, and my wife, Ellie, along with Lily, has already planned a short getaway for all of us at a beach resort. We've taken similar trips with Joshua and Lily before, but this time feels markedly different. Ellie insists that I develop a romantic connection with Lily during this vacation. She has been adamant about it, and her persistence has added to my confusion. I firmly declined her suggestion, explaining that it could jeopardize our marriage. However, Ellie argues that we can always back off if things become uncomfortable. I asked Ellie what would happen if she felt hurt or possessive about the situation, and she responded that we wouldn't truly understand ourselves until we gave it a try. This response has left me feeling conflicted. On one hand, I'd be dishonest if I said I wasn't intrigued by the idea. On the other hand, I'm equally anxious and worried about the potential consequences. The thought of this situation harming our marriage weighs heavily on my mind. Ellie, however, believes that it will strengthen our bond and insists that such arrangements are more common than I realize, even though people rarely discuss them openly. Her confidence in this idea baffles me. I'm unsure about how this whole thing works and whether it's something that can be successfully navigated. I'm seeking advice from individuals who have ventured into this territory and can share their experiences. Their insights could help me understand the potential risks and benefits, and whether this is a path worth exploring. Is it really wise to bring another person into our relationship to add some excitement? Here's an update. Hey everyone, you were absolutely right. She was cheating on me. After getting some solid advice from a few of you, I decided to go along with it and see where it would lead. While I had no desire to get intimate with Lily, I pretended to be open to the idea in front of Ellie. I wanted to see what would happen once I agreed. Ellie was overjoyed that I had finally said yes. On the planned weekend, all four of us drove to a resort about 60 miles away. During the journey, while Ellie and Joshua were enjoying the beautiful scenery, I couldn't help but notice that Lily seemed distant and nervous for most of the trip. I wasn't feeling great either, but I did my best to hide my discomfort. Although I didn't have any concrete proof of wrongdoing, my gut feeling told me something was off. We arrived at the resort on Friday afternoon. The plan was to soak up the sun until evening, attend a party organized by the resort, and later explore our deepest desires. In short, everything was set up for Lily and me to get together. After freshening up, we had a sumptuous lunch and spent the rest of the afternoon lounging in the sun. I tried to have a private conversation with Lily, but she didn't acknowledge any discomfort. Instead, she smirked and said she was looking forward to the night. The party got pretty wild, but I made an effort to stay composed, anticipating the next step. Sensing my unease and alertness, Joshua reassured me, claiming everything was fine and that Lily just wanted to have a good time with me. He said she was attracted to my physique. Now that I know the truth, I'm disgusted by his actions. I had no idea what time it was when we left the party, but suddenly I found myself in a room with Lily. We both sat there feeling awkward, and I couldn't tell how much time had passed. She finally broke the silence and asked how we should proceed. I questioned whether we really needed to do this. She gave me a puzzled look, and I then asked if she genuinely wanted to be close with me. Lily confessed to having a small crush on me but said she had never thought about getting intimate until her husband, Joshua, put the idea in her head. This revelation left me feeling more conflicted than ever. The whole situation seemed surreal, and I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being manipulated. Despite the tension, I tried to keep my composure and continued to talk with Lily, hoping to understand her true feelings and intentions. As the night progressed, it became clear that we were both caught in a situation neither of us fully wanted or understood. Reflecting on the events of that weekend, I realized how deeply I valued honesty and trust in a relationship. The experience taught me a lot about myself, my boundaries, and the importance of clear communication. I'm now more committed than ever to fostering genuine connections built on mutual respect and understanding. I sensed something was amiss, so I asked her if she truly desired to be with me. To my astonishment, I discovered that she had been manipulated similarly to how I had been. It all began when Ellie shared the game where I rated Lily the highest. Ellie also mentioned to Lily that we were looking for ways to add excitement to our marriage. On the same day, Joshua came home and expressed how lucky he felt to have such an attractive wife that even I desired. Lily believed I had told Joshua about all of this, but it wasn't me. It was, in fact, Ellie who had spilled the beans, or perhaps it was their plan all along. Since then, Joshua had been planting this idea in Lily's mind. He asked her if she would be interested in being intimate with me. She refused multiple times, but he insisted that it would spice up and strengthen their relationship. Lily admitted she found my physique appealing but not to the extent of wanting to be intimate. I made it clear that I never had any intention of it. I shared my side of the story, and she was shocked because, until then, she believed I desired her. At that point, we both realized it was a scheme orchestrated by them. Lily confronted Joshua, asking if he and Ellie planned to do something similar. He denied it, stating he wanted Lily to experience it first, and if things went well, he'd consider it. I distinctly remember not talking to Ellie because I had no desire to be part of this game. I told her I suspected Ellie of cheating when she pushed for the hookup and checked her phone, but it was clean. We decided it was time to find out the truth. I wanted to confront them right away, but Lily insisted on catching them in the act to expose them. So, on the night of our supposed hookup, we planned to catch Ellie and Joshua outside. We knew they wouldn't risk anything at that point because we could back out and leave. When we went outside, we found them watching something on an iPad. They were sitting close together. We told them we had changed our minds and didn't want to go through with it. They looked disappointed and asked why. I explained that it didn't feel right, and they couldn't come up with much to say. I also mentioned I had a sudden client meeting the next day, so we had to leave early. I suggested Ellie continue the vacation with Lily and Joshua, but none of them wanted to stay longer. We drove home the next morning, and the four of us remained mostly silent on the way back. Once we arrived, I changed and then left the house. The atmosphere was heavy with unspoken words and unresolved tension. As I walked out, I couldn't help but reflect on how deceit and manipulation had brought us to this point. I decided to take some time alone to process everything. The betrayal and dishonesty were overwhelming, and I needed to clear my head. I wandered through the city, trying to make sense of it all. The more I thought about it, the more I realized how deeply I value trust and transparency in relationships. This experience had shattered my trust in Ellie and left me questioning our future together. Over the next few days, I had several conversations with Ellie about our marriage and the events that had transpired. She admitted to feeling insecure and wanting to experiment, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. We both knew that repairing our relationship would take time and effort. In the end, the weekend getaway that was supposed to spice up our marriage had revealed deeper issues that needed to be addressed. As for Lily and Joshua, we all agreed to take a step back and give each other space. The incident had strained our friendship, and it was clear that things wouldn't be the same again. The journey back home marked not just the end of a weekend but the beginning of a new chapter filled with introspection and healing. I opted to drive to a coffee shop a bit farther away, hoping the distance would help clear my thoughts. Roughly an hour after I left, Lily called to inform me that Joshua had also left the house, claiming some urgent work. We both understood what that so-called urgent work actually involved. Lily mentioned she had enlisted another friend to follow Joshua and would update me on their location. Predictably, they ended up at my house. Before I left, I had told Lily I'd return home late in the evening, making this an opportunity they couldn't miss. In a fit of anger and resolve, I sped back to pick up Lily. My rage intensified as I drove home, determined to catch them in the act. I used my key to unlock the apartment, and there they were, lying naked together. Lily swiftly took photos of them while they frantically tried to cover themselves. Without hesitation, I stormed into the room, threw Ellie's belongings outside the apartment, and ordered her to leave immediately. They both begged us to listen. Joshua kept insisting that they were just experimenting, similar to what we had supposedly done the previous night. I grabbed Joshua by the collar and demanded to know when he started sleeping with my wife. Ellie tried to step in, but I pushed her away. He claimed it was their first time exploring this kind of relationship. My anger grew, and I tightened my grip on him, grinding my teeth as I pushed for a confession. I shot Ellie a furious glare and told her I didn't mind going to jail for dealing with this parasite. I made it clear that unless one of them confessed the truth, I would handle Joshua myself. Ellie, sobbing, eventually agreed and pleaded with me to stop. They finally admitted they had been having an affair for over a year. Although they had been seen together by a couple of my friends and one of Lily's, luckily for them, no one had informed us. However, Joshua and Ellie lived in constant fear of being exposed, so they devised a plan to involve us in a couples swap and legitimized their cheating. The weight of their betrayal hit me hard, leaving me with a mixture of anger, heartbreak, and disbelief. Lily and I stood there, trying to process the full extent of the situation. The trust we had placed in our spouses was shattered, and the magnitude of their actions was overwhelming. The next few days were a blur. Ellie tried contacting me numerous times, but I ignored her calls and messages. I needed time to think and decide my next steps. I stayed at a friend's place, unable to face the emptiness of our home. Lily and I continued to talk, supporting each other through this tough period. Eventually, I sought legal advice. The betrayal was too deep, and I knew repairing our marriage would be almost impossible. I filed for divorce, determined to start fresh and rebuild my life. Lily also took steps to end her marriage with Joshua. We both realized we deserved better than to be with partners who could betray us so deeply. As time went on, I focused on healing and rediscovering myself. I surrounded myself with supportive friends and family, finding solace in their encouragement and love. The journey was tough, but I emerged stronger and more resilient. I learned the importance of self-respect and setting boundaries in relationships. In the end, the experience taught me valuable lessons about trust, loyalty, and honest communication. I vowed never to let anyone undermine my worth again. The road to recovery was long, but it was a journey worth taking. With each step, I moved closer to a future filled with genuine connections and a deeper understanding of myself. I questioned her about why her phone was clean when I checked it. Through sobs, she confessed that they had been communicating solely through emails, which she would only sign into when necessary. They didn't chat frequently but used that email account to arrange their meeting times and locations. Their relationship was purely physical, devoid of any emotional connection. After hearing everything, Lily left the house, and Joshua followed her. I demanded that Ellie leave the house immediately. She tried to hug me, sobbing and pleading, but I made it clear that reconciliation was not an option. She had tried to deceive me, and I couldn't allow myself to be manipulated. Ellie only left our home when I threatened to involve her parents. I then messaged Lily, asking her to send me the photos she had taken of Ellie and Joshua. Once I received them, I forwarded the images to Ellie's sister and explained the situation. Ellie's sister confirmed that Ellie hadn't gone to her parents' house. About a week later, I emailed Ellie the divorce papers, as I didn't know her current location. I also had my lawyer send a physical copy to her parents' house. They called me in a state of panic. I included Ellie's sister on the call and asked her to share all the details. Following the email with the divorce papers, Ellie began sending me pleas. She had previously sent messages seeking reconciliation, but the frequency of her messages increased after receiving the email. Meanwhile, Lily decided to involve her parents in the situation. Lily's father, a businessman, employed Joshua to manage one of his business units. When the truth came out, Joshua lost his job, and Lily's father used his connections to hinder Joshua's career prospects in his field. A month has passed since the day everything came to light. My divorce proceedings are ongoing, with Ellie contesting and demanding a share of my house. The betrayal has left me deeply hurt, especially considering how they tried to drag us into their deceitful scheme. I'll provide updates if there are any further developments, but if not, consider this the final update. I understand that some of you might have expected Lily and me to get together, but that didn't happen. As I mentioned earlier, neither Lily nor I wanted that hookup. We were both manipulated into it, but fortunately, we managed to escape at the last moment. This experience has taught me a lot about trust, deception, and the importance of setting boundaries. Going forward, I am focused on healing and rebuilding my life. The journey has been challenging, but it has also been enlightening. I am grateful for the support I have received from friends and family during this difficult time. My divorce has finally been settled, and Ellie didn't get a penny. My lawyer argued that if she claimed a share of the property, we would also revisit the divorce terms and demand alimony due to the emotional distress she caused me. Let me tell you, if you pay your lawyers well, they can negotiate some pretty favorable outcomes. Eventually, she gave up and signed the papers. I'm not sure if I mentioned this before, but Joshua was working at his father-in-law's company. With these revelations, he was shown the door and struggled to find a decent paying job in his field. After leaving my house, Ellie rented a rather shabby apartment and offered Joshua a place to stay with her, but he declined, fearing further repercussions from his father-in-law and admitting he never loved her. Ellie had been living under the illusion that Joshua loved her, but that wasn't the case. Joshua made it clear that it was all for fun with no emotional attachment, just as they had initially agreed. These revelations came to light during Lily's divorce proceedings, where Joshua confessed that he had been manipulated by Ellie and his true affections lay with Lily. He pleaded with Lily and her father for another chance, but they rebuffed him and insisted on the divorce. I must admit, seeing my ex-wife exposed and humiliated in court didn't hurt one bit. It felt like justice served hot, just as she deserved. She was abandoned by everyone she knew, her husband, her lover, her friend, and her family. Her parents and siblings turned their backs on her. I'm not sure about her current job status, but news like this tends to spread like wildfire. Ellie's downfall was swift and absolute. The betrayal and deceit she orchestrated backfired spectacularly. Her actions not only destroyed her marriage but also alienated her from the people she once held dear. Now, she is left to pick up the pieces of her shattered life, alone and ostracized. Reflecting on this, I feel a sense of closure. The legal battle was exhausting, but it brought to light the true colors of those involved. I learned the value of standing up for myself and ensuring that justice was served. The support from my lawyer and the unwavering truth helped me through one of the toughest times in my life. Meanwhile, Lily and I remained in touch, supporting each other through our respective divorces. Her strength and resilience have been a source of inspiration for me. She managed to rebuild her life and even started a new job that she loves. It's incredible how she turned her life around despite the chaos caused by Joshua and Ellie. The journey wasn't easy, but it was a necessary one. It taught me a lot about trust, loyalty, and the importance of integrity. I've come out of this experience with a clearer understanding of what I want and need in my life. The future looks brighter now, with endless possibilities ahead. I am ready to embrace the next chapter of my life with hope and optimism, leaving the past behind. In the end, justice was served, and I emerged stronger and wiser. Ellie's deceit and betrayal are now just a part of my past, a chapter that has been closed for good. Moving forward, I am determined to build a life filled with honesty, trust, and genuine connections. This experience has shaped me into a better person, ready to face whatever comes next with a renewed sense of purpose. I briefly pondered sharing those incriminating photos with some of her colleagues, but eventually decided it wasn't the right course of action. As for her current circumstances, I can't say for certain, but I highly doubt she can maintain her previous lifestyle on her current income. She sacrificed our stable relationship for a brief moment of excitement and ultimately got what she deserved. I've begun attending therapy sessions to help me cope with everything. I was battling disturbing thoughts about the night Ellie had orchestrated for my supposed hookup. Therapy is gradually helping me move forward, but I believe it will take more time to completely rid myself of her memory. My friends have suggested that I should start meeting other women, but I don't think I'm ready to jump into the dating scene just yet. Alright, that was quite a story. Now let's move on to another intriguing one. Stay tuned and let's dive in. Story 2, I'm not proud of my actions and believe that karma will eventually catch up with me. I'm prepared to face the consequences. It's quite embarrassing for someone like me, who is somewhat successful, to admit to such petty behavior. I'm 26 years old and had an amazing friend of 2 years who eventually asked me out, and we started dating. Let's call him Jaden. We connected on a deep emotional level, and there was something about him that made me fall in love. We maintained a long-distance relationship for a year, and it felt incredibly serious to me. Jaden is the kind of guy who just goes with the flow of life, some might call it laid back. It became routine for me to assist him financially, and I did it willingly. I paid for his mechanic bills once and bought groceries for his family several times because they were experiencing tough times. He always appeared to live without a care in the world. I playfully asked him once, "What would you do if I didn't pay for your food?" He'd shrug and say, "Eat less or maybe nothing at all." Despite living 3 hours apart, everything seemed fine, and we visited each other frequently. But then, things took a turn. I learned from his sister that he had been communicating with other women while we were in a relationship. This revelation hit me hard and left me questioning everything. After the initial shock wore off, I decided to confront Jaden. When I asked him about it, he didn't deny it. Instead, he admitted that he had been talking to other women and didn't see it as a big deal. His nonchalant attitude towards our relationship and his infidelity was heartbreaking. I had invested so much emotionally and financially, only to find out that he had been unfaithful. Feeling deeply betrayed and disillusioned, I ended things with Jaden. It wasn't easy, but I knew I deserved better. This experience taught me a lot about trust and the importance of self-respect. I realized that I had been giving too much without receiving the same level of commitment in return. In the aftermath, I focused on healing and rebuilding my life. I threw myself into my work and hobbies, and gradually, I started to feel like myself again. I also reconnected with friends and family, who provided much-needed support during this tough time. Reflecting on the whole ordeal, I understand that everyone makes mistakes and that life is a continuous learning process. The experience with Jaden, though painful, made me stronger and more cautious about whom I let into my life. I am now more aware of the red flags in relationships and am committed to finding someone who values and respects me as much as I do them. As I move forward, I am optimistic about the future. I have learned to prioritize my well-being and not settle for less than I deserve. The journey has been challenging, but it has also been a significant period of growth and self-discovery. I am ready to embrace the next chapter of my life with an open heart and mind, hopeful for what lies ahead. I confronted him, but Jaden denied everything and refused to take any responsibility. He insisted that I was the only one he thought about and claimed that his sister didn't know what she was talking about. Due to my love for him, I believed him. However, 3 weeks ago, a mutual friend disclosed that Jaden had been seeing another woman in his town and having intimate relations with her. When I confronted him about this, he shifted the blame onto me, saying, "You know, it's hard for me to control myself, and you've been neglecting me. You should understand that the distance is difficult for me." This accusation was far from accurate. During our time apart, I visited him every other weekend when I could afford it, and we communicated daily. He also accused me of not wanting him to live with me, which was true, but my reason was that I didn't want to support a grown man and pay his bills. I felt utterly devastated, especially when Jaden, my partner, told me he loved me and was willing to do anything to make our relationship work, only to completely cut off contact the very next day. I confided in my friends, and they informed me that the girl he had gotten involved with was just an easygoing woman who had been around town for a while. To be honest, this hurt me even more. Let's call her Destiny. It seems quite fitting. They also revealed that he had started seeing her the day after our conversation, maybe even before. I had stood by Jaden during his toughest moments, the lowest points in his life, only for him to cheat on me with the least reputable woman in town. Reflecting on this betrayal, I felt a profound sense of loss and heartbreak. I had given so much of myself to Jaden, supporting him emotionally and financially, only to be discarded for someone he found convenient. The pain was almost unbearable, and I struggled to understand how someone I loved so deeply could betray me so thoroughly. As the days passed, I realized I needed to take steps to heal and move forward. I began by focusing on my own well-being, seeking therapy to help process the hurt and betrayal. My therapist helped me understand that Jaden's actions were a reflection of his own insecurities and not a measure of my worth. This insight was crucial in helping me start to rebuild my self-esteem. I also began to reconnect with activities and hobbies that brought me joy before my relationship with Jaden. I spent more time with friends and family, who provided much-needed support and reminded me of the love and respect I deserved. Slowly but surely, I started to feel more like myself again. In the meantime, Jaden's new relationship with Destiny seemed to follow a predictable pattern. From what I heard through mutual friends, it wasn't long before he began treating her the same way he had treated me, with disregard and disrespect. It was clear that his issues ran deeper than just our relationship and that he needed to confront his own demons. Looking back, I realized that my experience with Jaden had taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and self-respect. I learned that I deserve a partner who values me and treats me with the same care and consideration I offer. The journey to healing wasn't easy, but it was necessary, and it helped me grow stronger and more resilient. As I move forward, I am determined to build a life filled with genuine connections and mutual respect. I know now that I am worthy of a love that is true and unwavering. The pain of Jaden's betrayal is a part of my past, but it no longer defines my future. I am ready to embrace new opportunities and relationships with an open heart, confident in my worth and the love I have to offer. I challenged him, but Jaden denied it all and refused to accept any blame. He claimed that I was the only one on his mind and insisted that his sister was mistaken. Because of my affection for him, I trusted his words. Yet, 3 weeks ago, a mutual friend revealed that Jaden had been involved with another woman in his town, being intimate with her. When I confronted him about this, he turned the blame on me, saying, "You know, it's tough for me to control myself, and you've been neglecting me. You should realize that the distance is hard on me." This allegation was completely inaccurate. During our time apart, I visited him every other weekend when I could manage it financially, and we communicated daily. He also accused me of not wanting him to move in with me, which was true, but my reason was that I didn't want to support an adult man and cover his expenses. I felt completely crushed, especially when Jaden, my partner, told me he loved me and was ready to do anything to make our relationship work, only to cut off all contact the following day. I confided in my friends, and they told me that the woman he had gotten involved with was just a carefree person who had been around town for some time. To be honest, this hurt even more. Let's call her Destiny, it seems appropriate. They also revealed that he had started seeing her the day after our conversation, maybe even before. I had supported Jaden during his hardest times, the lowest points in his life, only for him to cheat on me with the least reputable woman in town. Reflecting on this betrayal, I felt a deep sense of loss and heartbreak. I had given so much of myself to Jaden, supporting him emotionally and financially, only to be discarded for someone he found convenient. The pain was almost unbearable, and I struggled to understand how someone I loved so deeply could betray me so thoroughly. As the days went by, I realized I needed to take steps to heal and move forward. I started by focusing on my own well-being, seeking therapy to help process the hurt and betrayal. My therapist helped me understand that Jaden's actions were a reflection of his own insecurities and not a measure of my worth. This insight was crucial in helping me start to rebuild my self-esteem. I also began to reconnect with activities and hobbies that brought me joy before my relationship with Jaden. I spent more time with friends and family, who provided much-needed support and reminded me of the love and respect I deserved. Slowly but surely, I started to feel more like myself again. Meanwhile, Jaden's new relationship with Destiny seemed to follow a predictable pattern. From what I heard through mutual friends, it wasn't long before he began treating her the same way he had treated me, with disregard and disrespect. It was clear that his issues ran deeper than just our relationship and that he needed to confront his own demons. Looking back, I realized that my experience with Jaden had taught me valuable lessons about love, trust, and self-respect. I learned that I deserve a partner who values me and treats me with the same care and consideration I offer. The journey to healing wasn't easy, but it was necessary, and it helped me grow stronger and more resilient. As I move forward, I am determined to build a life filled with genuine connections and mutual respect. I know now that I am worthy of a love that is true and unwavering. The pain of Jaden's betrayal is a part of my past, but it no longer defines my future. I am ready to embrace new opportunities and relationships with an open heart, confident in my worth and the love I have to offer. Repeatedly deceiving me and giving me false hope as if I were naive, he then disappeared without any explanation after seeking out cheap thrills. During that period, I had to endure the embarrassment of scheduling an appointment with a gynecologist for a sexually transmitted disease check. Why should I blame myself? I didn't deceive anyone. 2 weeks ago, while still grappling with my heartbreak, I reactivated my Facebook account and spent hours browsing through profiles of my ex and his new love interest. Deep down, I knew it wasn't healthy, but I couldn't resist. Instead of focusing on their flirtatious exchanges, I fixated on her profile. I scrolled through months of cringe-inducing selfies taken in a grimy, dimly lit bathroom with barely any clothing, the type of photos that might embarrass even someone with loose morals. Reflecting on my experience, I couldn't help but feel the sting of betrayal anew. My ex had led me on, repeatedly lying and giving me false hope, treating me like a gullible fool. He then vanished without a word, leaving me to deal with the emotional aftermath. Seeking cheap thrills, he had not only broken my heart but also exposed me to potential health risks, necessitating that humiliating gynecologist appointment. The appointment was a stark reminder of his betrayal and the reckless disregard he had for my well-being. Despite knowing I hadn't done anything wrong, I struggled with feelings of shame and self-blame. It was a difficult period, compounded by the pain of discovering his new relationship. Activating my Facebook account after weeks of emotional turmoil was an impulsive decision. I spent countless hours obsessively looking at profiles, particularly focusing on his new girlfriend. I knew it wasn't a healthy habit, but curiosity and hurt drove me. Instead of their flirtatious messages, I zeroed in on her profile pictures. Her selfies, taken in a dingy, dimly lit bathroom, were provocatively posed and scantily clad. These images, which might even embarrass someone with loose morals, were a stark contrast to my own standards and left me feeling even more bewildered and hurt. As I scrolled through her photos, I felt a mixture of emotions, disgust, pity, and anger. How could he choose someone like her after everything we had? The realization hit me hard. His actions reflected more on him than on me. His deceit and shallow pursuits were a testament to his character, not mine. Despite the humiliation and pain, I began to see a glimmer of clarity. His repeated lies and sudden disappearance highlighted a profound lack of respect and integrity. It was not my fault that he sought out cheap thrills and left me to pick up the pieces. The responsibility for his actions rested squarely on his shoulders. As I processed these emotions, I realized the importance of focusing on my own healing. The Facebook stalking, though temporarily satisfying, only prolonged my pain. I needed to redirect my energy towards self-care and rebuilding my confidence. This experience, though painful, became a catalyst for growth and self-discovery. I started seeking support from friends and family, who reminded me of my worth and helped me regain my sense of self. I also found solace in new hobbies and interests, which provided a much-needed distraction and a way to channel my emotions constructively. Gradually, I began to feel stronger and more resilient. Looking back, I recognize that his betrayal and my subsequent reaction were pivotal moments in my life. They forced me to confront my vulnerabilities and reassess what I truly wanted in a relationship. Moving forward, I am determined to find a partner who respects and values me, someone who shares my values and integrity. In the end, his deceitful actions no longer define me. I am not a victim of his lies, but a survivor who has emerged stronger and wiser. The road to healing was long and arduous, but it led me to a place of greater self-awareness and empowerment. I am ready to embrace the future with confidence, knowing that I deserve genuine love and respect. Then I did something I'm not proud of. Please don't judge me, I was in a very dark place. I created a fake profile of a handsome man who used to attend her school. I quickly befriended her friends, posted fake updates, and sent her a friend request. All of this happened within a single day. It's astonishing how many people will accept friend requests on Facebook just based on appearance, whether they actually know the person or not. In just 2 hours, I had 40 friends, and friend requests kept coming in every few minutes. I couldn't help but wonder who was more pathetic, me or the people who were so easily deceived. The next day, I started chatting with her, and she was shockingly open, even sending me photos of herself in rather revealing outfits, all to a complete stranger without receiving anything in return. It made me question why so many men didn't see this as a red flag. As a woman myself, I found it incredibly easy to tell her what she wanted to hear. 2 or 3 days later, Destiny was already complaining to me about her relationship problems with Jaden. Yes, you read that correctly. I suggested meeting up to show her what it was like to be with a real man. By this point, I had saved hours of conversations, including the dirtiest innuendos I had ever encountered, along with pictures, voice messages, and so on. It was time to act. Meanwhile, during all of this, Jaden started reaching out to me, admitting that his actions were a mistake. I asked if they had broken up, and he falsely claimed they had, not once but twice, when they hadn't. Strangely, this should have broken my heart, but it didn't. I knew the truth but reassured him that I still loved him, was willing to forgive and forget, and even wanted him to move in with me. He sounded thrilled, said he would give his 2 weeks' notice at work, and even texted me later that day, saying he had abruptly quit his job without notice because he felt they weren't worth it. He mentioned he would pack his things and come over later in the week. I know that karma will catch up with me, but this was my way of getting revenge. I posted all of our conversations on the fake profile, tagged her in it, and shared the pictures and videos exclusively for my satisfaction. Then I watched the drama unfold before deactivating the fake account. I received 53 likes and 82 messages. Her social circle, friends, and family all saw it. Reflecting on my actions, I felt a strange mix of triumph and guilt. My behavior was undeniably petty and deceitful, but I couldn't deny the sense of justice I experienced. This whole situation made me question the morality of my choices, yet I couldn't shake the feeling that Jaden and Destiny had brought this upon themselves. As I watched the aftermath, I saw Destiny's online presence crumble. Her friends and family were shocked and disappointed, leaving comments that ranged from sympathetic to condemning. Jaden's reaction was one of pure panic. He reached out to me frantically, trying to explain himself and salvage his dignity, but I had already moved on emotionally and mentally. The process of creating and managing the fake profile gave me a sense of control over a situation where I had felt completely powerless. It was a way for me to reclaim my narrative and rewrite the ending of my story. However, this temporary feeling of power also highlighted my own vulnerabilities and the lengths I was willing to go to feel vindicated. With each passing day, the satisfaction of revenge faded, replaced by sober reflection on my actions. I knew I had stooped to their level, and while it gave me a brief high, it did little to heal the deeper wounds. I realized that true healing would come from within, not from external validation or the downfall of those who had wronged me. As I deactivated the fake account, I decided to focus on my own growth and recovery. I sought therapy to work through my emotions and find healthier ways to cope with betrayal and heartbreak. My therapist helped me understand that while revenge might feel satisfying in the short term, it ultimately leaves a void that can only be filled with self-love and forgiveness. In the end, I learned a valuable lesson about integrity and the importance of staying true to myself. Jaden and Destiny's actions were a reflection of their own character flaws, and my response, though understandable, was a departure from the person I wanted to be. Moving forward, I am committed to building a life based on honesty, respect, and genuine connections. The road to healing is long, but I am determined to walk it with grace and dignity. I know now that I deserve better than to be dragged into a cycle of deceit and revenge. With each step, I am reclaiming my sense of self-worth and opening my heart to the possibility of true, untainted love. Jaden saw the post too and coincidentally messaged me right away, saying, "Hey babe, just wanted to say that I miss you so much. Can't wait to be with you again. Miss you." He didn't mention anything about the other girl. Little did he know, I was more informed than he realized. Friday arrives, and he tells me that he's heading to my apartment. It's worth mentioning that I recently moved, so when Jaden was on his way, he didn't know my new address. I suggested we meet at a nearby CVS where I could guide him to my place. Classic Jaden. He replies, "Sure, but I'm running low on gas. Can you fill up my tank? Don't forget your credit card." In my forgiving nature, I agree and tell him I'll do it once he arrives. Soon, I receive a text saying he's at the CVS and asks for my whereabouts. I deliberately ignore it. 30 minutes later, he starts blowing up my phone like an aggressive telemarketer from an overseas call center. I ignore his calls. I admit, I was a bit petty, letting it ring once so he knows I'm sending it to voicemail. An hour passes, and he calls, leaving a voicemail expressing concern. "Hey babe, I'm worried about you. Are you okay?" I was more than fine. 2 hours later, he informs me that he's stranded. He drove to another CVS thinking I was there, ran out of gas, and is now stuck at a gas station with all his stuff in the car. I still ignore his calls. I think it's the perfect time to get some sleep, but my excitement keeps me awake, so I take an Ambien and hit the hay. Saturday morning, it looks like a phone apocalypse occurred. I see my phone with 37 text messages, 28 missed calls, and 7 voicemails, all from one person. Guess who? Unfortunately, I can't share the voicemails, but I can say that eventually, Jaden had to call his mom to come get him. After that, I blocked his number and had to change mine because he began calling me from his family's phones. Despite all the blocked calls, I received a message from his sister, the same one who told me about his affair. She was eager to update me on the aftermath. She revealed that their mom and Jaden returned home with Jaden sobbing his heart out while their mom was furious. Interestingly, their mom wasn't mad because of his cheating, she was livid with me for what I did to her spoiled kid. His sister made sure to reassure me, saying I was strong and deserved someone better than her deceitful, unfaithful brother. I acknowledged that I acted impulsively throughout this entire ordeal, likely tarnishing this girl's reputation within her social circle. I'm considering reactivating the fake profile to apologize or something, but I'm undecided. It's worth noting that she knowingly engaged in a relationship with a man who had a girlfriend, even seducing him and then cheating on him as well. I'd appreciate your thoughts on this. She's unaware that it was me, just a random guy who exposed her actions. Reflecting on the entire situation, I felt a whirlwind of emotions, triumph, guilt, anger, and confusion. My actions were undeniably driven by a desire for revenge, yet I couldn't ignore the pang of guilt that accompanied them. It became clear that Jaden and Destiny's choices had led to this outcome, but my own decisions added fuel to the fire. As the dust settled, I found myself contemplating the aftermath. Destiny's online presence had crumbled, her social circle shocked by the revelations. Meanwhile, Jaden's desperation was palpable as he tried to mend the broken pieces of his facade. His frantic calls and messages painted a picture of a man grasping at straws, realizing too late the consequences of his actions. The temporary satisfaction of revenge began to fade, leaving behind a sense of emptiness. I knew that true healing wouldn't come from external validation or watching their downfall. It would come from within, through self-reflection and personal growth. I decided to focus on my own well-being, seeking therapy to navigate the complex emotions that had surfaced. My therapist helped me understand that while revenge might feel gratifying in the short term, it ultimately leaves a void that can only be filled with self-love and forgiveness. In the end, I learned valuable lessons about integrity and the importance of staying true to oneself. Jaden and Destiny's actions were a reflection of their own flaws, and my response, though understandable, strayed from the person I aspired to be. Moving forward, I am committed to building a life based on honesty, respect, and genuine connections. The road to healing is long, but I am determined to walk it with grace and dignity. I know now that I deserve better than to be dragged into a cycle of deceit and revenge. With each step, I am reclaiming my sense of self-worth and opening my heart to the possibility of true, untainted love. I made a deliberate effort not to share the photos widely, only showing them to my ex. Even though he knows it's her, nobody else has connected the dots, and I made sure it stays that way. I was cautious throughout this entire process. I lost him, yes, but I have no desire to get him back. It might sound crazy, but I still have lingering feelings for Jaden, my ex. He'll never forgive me now that he's jobless and the whole town knows his business. Destiny even admitted his manhood is quite small, trying to shift the blame onto Jaden instead of taking full responsibility. A small part of me regrets everything and wishes for a reconciliation, but a larger part of me is relieved that I've put an end to any chance of that happening, as it wouldn't have worked out in the long run. It feels liberating to get all of this off my chest. Reflecting on the situation, I can see how my emotions clouded my judgment. The intense feelings I had for Jaden made me act in ways I wouldn't normally consider. The fallout from these actions has been immense, not just for Jaden and Destiny, but for me as well. However, it has also brought a sense of closure that I desperately needed. In hindsight, I realized that my decision to keep the photos private and only show them to my ex was crucial. It prevented the situation from escalating further and protected Destiny from additional public humiliation. Even though the desire for revenge was strong, I chose to limit the damage, which, in a strange way, reflects my lingering care for Jaden. Throughout this entire ordeal, I have had moments of doubt and introspection. While a part of me regrets my actions and wishes for a possible reconciliation, a more significant part of me knows that ending any hope of getting back together was the right choice. Our relationship was fundamentally flawed, and no amount of forgiveness could have changed that. By closing this chapter, I have allowed myself to move on and find peace. Moreover, seeing Jaden's reputation crumble and knowing that Destiny admitted to his inadequacies has brought a complex mix of satisfaction and sadness. It's a reminder of how destructive our actions can be when driven by hurt and betrayal. The relief I feel now, having unburdened myself of these emotions, is profound. I have learned a lot about myself through this experience. My lingering feelings for Jaden indicate that my love for him was real, despite his flaws and our toxic relationship. It's challenging to let go of someone who meant so much to you, even when they have hurt you deeply. However, recognizing that holding on to these feelings is detrimental to my well-being is a significant step toward healing. This journey has also highlighted the importance of self-respect and the necessity of setting boundaries. By refusing to reconcile with Jaden, I am prioritizing my own emotional health and acknowledging that I deserve better. The liberation I feel now is a testament to the power of self-care and personal growth. Looking ahead, I am committed to learning from this experience and making better choices in my future relationships. The mistakes I made have taught me valuable lessons about trust, respect, and the consequences of revenge. I am determined to build a life based on honesty and mutual respect, leaving behind the toxic patterns of the past. In the end, sharing this story has been cathartic. It has allowed me to process my emotions and gain a clearer understanding of my actions and their impact. I am ready to move forward with a renewed sense of purpose and a commitment to making healthier choices. Thank you for listening.
Don't forget to subscribe, like, and click on the little bell icon for notifications of new stories.